What's up, YouTube? My name is Batman, and this is level 5 in Halo 4 Legendary. It is, I believe it's called Reclaimer, and I want to give a disclaimer for the level Reclaimer. This level is very easy, but it is also particularly boring. You see right now I'm kind of on this giant, it's reminiscent of the elephant from Halo 3. I think they stole this scene from Gears of War 2. If you remember that scene where you're all on that sort of giant, I don't know what you would call it, the rolling barge, and you basically get in fights with things in a canyon from atop this giant moving barge, and that's really what you have here with this. I believe it's called the Mammoth in Halo. Now, this level is going to revolve around grabbing this laser over here and then lasering targets. So once you finish off these targets over here and actually do pick up the laser, don't stay to fight around. They're going to try and drop reinforcements on you. Just run back to your Mammoth, as you see I did here, and you can climb back up atop it and laze that Phantom, and then wait 10 minutes for the thing to reload while you just sit there, and then you can laze this giant floating ball thing. Funny thing, that giant ball thing shot 3 pelicans out of the sky, but it can't turn to shoot you. Now, as the barge continues to roll through the level, you are going to encounter another Phantom, as you see here. You can laze it, you'll encounter some Banshees too, but really, if you want to, you can just stay down inside the giant Mammoth thing, and you don't have to worry about fighting anything. It's pretty easy, and it's really boring. Now, you'll reach this part where you have to destroy some generators. If you saw, my partner was sniping. He sniped out a turret, he sniped down a ghost, and he sniped out, I believe, one elite before we moved along and started fighting on the hog. And you can do that if you have 2 people, have 1 person. If you're playing solo, you can still do that. Try and whip out that sniper, and you can take out some, take out their heavy reinforcements. Not their heavy reinforcements, but you can kind of lighten the enemy opposition from a distance, and that's going to come in handy because you don't want to, this Warthog is strong, but it will die pretty fast if you're fighting many enemies. Another thing you see me doing is, instead of fighting those towers with the Warthog, I'll get out of the Warthog with the rocket launcher and I'll shoot them from a distance, and that's also the best way to do that, because if you try to fight them with the Warthog, I think you're actually going to lose that fight most of the time. They'll have like a grunt up there with a field rod cannon, and he'll take you out pretty easy. Now, when you get to the part where you have to fight the Wraith, do what I did here. You see, I just kind of kept, my distance to the point where either I was so far away he couldn't shoot me, or if he did shoot me, I had enough time to react to the path that his giant Wraith shot was. Wraith shot, yeah, it's Wraith. I don't know what you would call it. That huge energy cannon has like an arc, and it's got a delay, and if you're far away enough, it's pretty easy to maneuver around. So just keep your distance from the Wraiths, hit the towers from afar with the rocket launcher. You can find the rocket launcher and the sniper on the 2nd level of the Mammoth, if you're interested. When you get to this part where you have to laser the 2nd giant floating, I don't know what you would call it. Again, it reminds me of Mass Effect. It reminds me of the, what do you call them? The machines in Mass Effect, I can't remember, but the giant floating machines in Mass Effect. It reminds me of those a bit. But once you destroy the 2nd one, make sure you grab the Goshawk. This is going to be impossible outside of the Goshawk. The Goshawk will just be sitting right there in front of the Mammoth. Once you have the Goshawk, again, as is the case in most of this game, just try and keep your distance from whatever enemies you're fighting. It can be trickier here because the Phantoms are going to drop in, ghosts and tanks behind you and all around you, and it's hard to keep your distance from the ghosts. But if you just make an effort to keep your distance, you don't have to do it perfectly, but as long as you're trying to keep your distance, this should work out. And when your shields go down, run away. You don't have to. I think a lot of times people, when they get into Warthogs, they get into this mindset like, kill the enemy before it can kill you. But if you just remember to sort of use the Warthog as if you were a person and get behind cover when your shields go down, you should be a-okay. The Goshawk works like a sniper. It's got precision accuracy, and It's best if you're driving to sort of stay still. If your gunner is a human, that is. If he's an AI, you should be okay because they have, you know, AI precision. But it can be kind of hard to fire and hit every target with the Gosshog when you're, you know, when you're moving. If you've ever been on the Gosshog turret. And so, you know, if your partner's on the Gosshog turret, try and keep it steady, and everything should be fine. Even on Legendary, when you get in vehicles on this game, it's ridiculously easy. Like, you'll notice we're not having much trouble here, other than the fact that our shields went down once or twice and we had to take some cover. But other than that, this is a very easy fight. This Halo, compared to previous Halos, you know, I've beaten every Halo on Legendary. I'm not saying I'm, you know, that makes me a god at it, but I do have some experience, and it seems like this Halo is, compared to all the Halos before it, this Halo is ridiculously easy, and especially when you're in vehicles. You know, you're not going to have much trouble, and later on in this level you get a tank, and you basically breeze through the last section of the game. One part that can be hard is coming up right here. Bring your Gosshog. If you shoot that barrier right there, you can move it just a tiny little bit, and then you'll be able to fit your Gosshog in here. Otherwise, you'd have to go do this on foot, and on foot this is pretty hard. But if you bring the Gosshog up here, you see we just kind of camp this choke point, and it's, again, it's really easy. Savor this moment. This is like the probably most entertaining part of this level. And I don't mean to sound like a neghead right here. I found myself a little disappointed after this level was over. You know, like that was it. Because in Halo we get 8 levels. In this Halo we're only getting 8 levels, and I thought that would mean that they'd be, you know, ridiculously long like they were in the first Halo when you only had 10 levels, but they're not. And on top of that, a lot of times it feels like there's more walking around than there is fighting. Once you get up here, make sure you bring a rocket launcher with you. There's going to be, I believe, 1 or 2 elites, and really they're going to be the only challenge here. I mess it up. I end up, you know, trying to melee the guy and then having to grenade him. But if you go up there with a rocket launcher and grenades, 1 rocket should take that elite out pretty easily. Just make sure, you know, kind of, you're going to have to get used to the physics on the moving ship, because it will sort of throw off the arc of your rocket. But if you go up there with a rocket launcher, you should be fine, is what I'm saying. And then you escape the exploding ship, and then you walk for another 20 minutes, and then you'll come up here to Sniper Canyon. The most dangerous part of this area will be the snipers, and if you just pay attention to the screen, you'll see where they'll spawn, when they spawn, and as long as you take them out quick, you should be fine. Stay up where I am right now. If you're up here, the forces on the ground can't shoot you. The only thing that can really shoot you is the snipers. And if you have a second person, you know, he'll draw the fire from not only all the ground forces, but he'll probably end up drawing the fire from all the snipers too. And so, you know, if you come up here to the far left, you literally can just have a field day. And single player, I think you can just come up here to the left, stick with this route, and you can literally skip this whole canyon of enemies, which is pretty great. Again, anytime you can find some way to skip a fight instead of actually fighting that fight, you know, take that route, because it's always going to be easier. You're going to die less, it's going to take less time, yada yada yada. And make sure you have the jetpack here too. I don't see how you couldn't have the jetpack. I don't think there's any other equipment you could pick up, but just in case, make sure you hold on to the jetpack for this part. Again, snipers will one-shot you, so make sure you prioritize them above, you know, all these grunts and jackals. And when you do kill them, pick up their beam rifles. Part of the great part about this sequence right here, these 2 fights, is that you are given largely, as long as you're picking up all the rifles, you're given largely an unlimited supply of beam rifles. And that's really handy, because beam rifles are going to one-shot just about everything except, you know, a knight or an elite. And even an elite, I think if you hit it in the head, it'll still be a one-shot. And so pick up these beam rifles, and you can sort of cut through enemy opposition very efficiently, very quickly. And then coming up right here, I believe, would be the hardest part of this mission. You know, you're already here. What you want to do is have, if you have a teammate, have him come up here to your left, and you'll see, I'll look at him in a second. He's going to come up on a rock. You'll see, don't worry. Whereas if you're single player, don't do what I'm doing right here. If you're on single player, you want to go up to a big rock on your left that I, again, will point out right there. That rock right there where he just jetpacked from. If you go up there with a sniper, you can take out pretty much all the enemies on this first half of the platform without getting shot at even. And so that's real great. If you have 2 or more people, have one person up there and then have your other guys sort of come and draw them out and distract them. And that's a big part. The main advantage you have when you're playing with more than one person is that you can sort of do that distracting thing. You know, you can sort of have one person draw fire while the other person defeats the enemy. It's like in MMOs when you have tanks and then you have DPS, right? You can have one guy kind of be the tank and one guy be the DPS, so that works out real great. There's a beam rifle that I just picked up. If you come up here on this little raised rocky platform, there's another beam rifle, and so I have this human sniper from the Mammoth. I got the beam rifle, and you can use it to very quickly sort of pick through all these enemies. Now, eventually, after you've taken them all out, make sure you prioritize that sniper that I haven't gotten yet. They're not going to come out until you walk up there, and so you're going to have to walk up there. But then, if you're on single player, as soon as you draw them out, I would fall back. Or if you have a teammate, you know, sort of stay pushed up, but don't try and fight them on your own. Let your teammate pick them off from a distance. Again, the key to winning fights in Legendary is just keep your distance from the enemy, because they're too stupid to, you know, they have like a certain range where they can shoot you and a certain range where they can pursue you. And if you're outside of it, they won't. Whereas you know, if you can see them and you have a sniper, you can shoot them from anywhere that you can see them. And that's not the case for them. And again, be patient. Don't go rushing up these ramps. Don't jetpack up there. This knight, he's going to be your main problem, but the problem, he's kind of being like the distraction, right? He's distracting you, but he has all these dogs on the canyon walls over to your right and left, and then he has, you know, 2 other knights back there. And so take your time and take that knight out slowly, but don't go up there trying to rush him, because you'll get sniped, you'll get hit by these, you know, thousands of dogs that are climbing the walls of this canyon, yada yada yada. But once he is dead, you can kind of clip this, you see this little ramp I'm at, you can clip this ramp very easily and sort of clean up, mop up, finish up the job. This is, if you can get past this, again, I know it's, you know, this is for noobs by noobs. I know we're not doing it as quickly as, you know, a legendary god, whatever you want to call it, would be doing it. It does take us a little time. If you're doing it correctly and you're sort of, you know, you wouldn't consider yourself amazing at the game, which I'm assuming you don't if you're watching this video, then take your time and you should be able to get through here pretty easy. You see my shields don't even come down except for maybe once or twice, because you just have to be cautious. Now you'll have a pretty cutscene. You know, you'll meet the librarian, pick up Cortana, kill those first couple of dogs, and then look, you can just kind of skip this whole battle. You see Liam, he didn't have to pick up Cortana, so he's already there. I would have made it too, but he hit that loading point. But you can do that on single player too. Just take out some of the first dogs, and then sprint up ahead, and you can skip that whole fight pretty easily. Big old elevator wait right here. And then coming out right here, you're going to have a tank battle that seems like it was pretty obviously taken right out of the level from Halo 3, the Ark, if you remember that level. They even say that, they even have the same line where he's like, you know, everybody form up on the chief. You get 2 tanks here. If you're on single player, one of your AIs will drive the tank. If you have 2 people, you can both get a tank. I cut out the very, very end of the level just for the sake of time. I wanted to keep it under 15 minutes. Basically, all you have to remember for tank battles is to keep your distance. You know, you can use the tank like a sniper rifle. And again, it's pretty easy. I don't, you know, if you have 2 tanks, I'm not sure what advice you need. You just kind of kill the things that you see. Try and remember that the tank shot, unlike previous Halos, it does have an arc and a delay, so you kind of have to, you know, bait your targets. But other than that, this should be pretty straightforward. You just kind of move through and destroy everything. And I hope you were able to enjoy this guide. This is Batman, signing out.